how do I get better at mixing? This is an interesting question, but the best way to get better at doing anything in life is to do it repetitively. To mix and mix and mix. The more you mix, the better you'll get. You'll realize that you'll stumble over certain issues, and you'll work out how to fix that. Right? You can obviously go and do lots and lots and lots of courses, but all you're doing in that way is you're learning how to mix someone else's way. You want to find your own workflow. You want to find your own sound. You want to find your own style. You want to be unique. You don't want to be what someone else is. The best way to mix is to not mix your own music. Don't think about mixing your own music. Don't think about, all right, I'm going to produce a song and then I'm going to mix it, and then I'm going to produce another one and I'm going to mix it. Mix songs you don't know. Simulate the process of receiving a song off of a client and then start mixing it. Then 3 months later, mix it again. Find out how much better you've got. Reference back to that one, to this one. Work out where you've got better, and hopefully you are getting better. But ultimately it comes down to getting stems from other people, mixing their songs. You know, if you've got mates who are producers, offer to mix their song for free, you know, to learn. It's a learning curve. Go on the internet and search for stem download. You can download stems that, bands, producers, all sorts of different stems you can get. And some of them are free, some you can pay for. But get the stems, download those and mix the song. I spent most of my years from 16 to 19 mixing for relatively cheap or mixing for free, getting tracks, stems off of people, mixing them. They're not even if they weren't even planning on releasing the song, just to learn, just to get more of an ability to broaden your range of mixing skills, in terms of learn how to mix live music, learn how to mix electronic music, learn how to mix jazz, learn how to mix film scores. By getting the stems, you're never going to actually learn how to mix any of this unless you start working on it. I always say that the best way to learn anything is to just dive straight in, start working on it. You'll learn where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and then gradually over time you can progress better by getting new plugins or new pieces of hardware that will improve in those aspects. But work out where it is that you're lacking. To really learn how to mix, I stand by the fact of just get stuck in. The more you do this, the more you mix music. Like, your first mix might be absolutely terrible. Okay, it might be, it might not be great. The next mix, it gets a little bit better. After doing 50 odd mixes, you will get a lot better. I could go back 20 years, for instance, and listen to a mix I did 20 years ago, and I would cringe at it. And I'm sure I would, because I know how much I've progressed as an engineer, because I'm mixing track after track after track every single day. And if you're doing that, you create a sound, and you create this kind of, you get better at your job. And that's like any job. You know, if you're building a house, the first house you build probably might fall down. The 100th house you build, it's a mansion. It's beautiful and it's well constructed. I stand by the fact of, if you want to learn and you really want to learn, don't go and necessarily look at university courses to learn how to be a mixing engineer. That's obviously going to teach you a lot, but there's nothing better than the practical knowledge of actually finding a problem, encountering a problem whilst mixing, and then literally tackling it. And if you're sitting there going, I don't know how to resolve this problem, I don't know how to do it, get on the internet. Find out if anybody else has had this problem, work out how it could possibly be fixed, go back to it, try that. And here's the thing with mixing is, if you run into that problem once and you're able to fix it yourself, and you've utilized the thought process of finding out how to work, how do I get this sound to where I want it to be, if you utilize that thought process and work it out yourself, you'll remember that, and you'll know next time, oh no, I need to do that. And it's a really good process and way to work. So I would highly recommend just trying to get as many stems together. There's hundreds of royalty-free stem packs that you can download and work with. There's even, like, relatively famous songs. The one thing I would say as well is get a reference. So if it's a song that's already been mixed, get a reference of, right, that's the song that's already been mixed. That's the release, and that sounds amazing, right? Let me get the raw stems, and I'm going to try and take those raw stems and get anywhere close to that. And then you're referencing between A to B, listening to this reference mix and going, right, that snare drum, it sounds so much better. How are they getting that? And then you'll work it out. You will, over time, work out how that snare drum got from that raw recording to this really nice, thick, bright, lovely snare drum. And I stand by the fact of the best way to learn is to just get stuck in. Is how I learn. I learn very much by just kind of getting practical with mixing. Just keep mixing track after track after track. Offer to your mates that you'll mix their track for them. Download all these stems. Just start mixing. Honestly, it will really, really help you improve with your mixing. That's my one piece of advice on how to get better as a mixing engineer. Like, you can work with the best people in the world, and they can tell you and teach you and all these different things, but ultimately you want to be able to try and create your own sound. You want a sound that's my sound. Here's my sound. And then when you mix for people, they go, wow, this is a sound. This is the sound I want. And that's what you want. You want your own unique sound. There's no point there's hundreds of people who all sound the same. And that's why we have lots of nice, unique pieces of equipment. And that's what gives you, as well, is what gives you your sound. Having these certain tools that give you a particular sound. So if you want to get better at mixing, just get stuck in. Just start mixing. Mix as much as you can. Mix as many different genres as you can. You'll find the more you start mixing like live music, you'll take that over to the electronic music side of things, where everything's a bit more cleaner. Whereas with live music, with microphones, there's certain things that you've got to look at that you don't necessarily have to look at with electronic music. With live music, you've got to look at phasing, all things like that. With electronic music, that's not too much of an issue. Everything's very clean. So you learn things from each side, and it can only benefit you. Obviously, it takes you a lot of time to go, and you're mixing for no other purpose other than for a learning curve. But yeah, I'd highly recommend that's the way to get better at mixing.